Thank you for joining us today. I am Linda. I am hosting this webinar today for Megan. Welcome to Choosing Your E-Commerce Platform. We're so glad you're here. Pull out your notes. You're going to learn a lot today.
All right. Hey, everyone. I hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's Thursday today. It's one of those weeks that like my days are all off.
Megan?
But welcome. Yes.
Can you do me a favor and advance the slide? I'll take care of the first couple slides, but I need you to do the advancing for me.
Oh, sure.
Thank you. I'll start off with our disclaimer. The information provided in this webinar and any supplementary materials provided to registrants are intended for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute professional, financial, or legal advice. No registrant should act or fail to act upon the basis of any material contained in this webinar without obtaining proper financial, legal, or other professional advice specific to their situation. The Northern California Small Business Development Center and its host, the HSU Sponsored Programs Foundation, specifically disclaims any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a result or consequence, directly or indirectly, of the use and application of any information presented in this webinar. And this is the Shasta-Cascade Small Business Development Center. We're in far Northern California, supporting Trinity and Shasta counties. We're a nonprofit organization, and we provide confidential, no-cost advisory and training services to you, small business owners and members of small businesses. And the reason it's no cost is this is paid for by your tax dollars. So please do take advantage of the webinars we have, take advantage of the training, the advising that you can get directly from us. We are sponsored by the SBA and the HSU Sponsored Programs Foundation. And now I'll hand it over to Megan.
All right, guys, I'm Megan Spaulding. I am an e-commerce specialist. So this has been the bulk of my career has been in e-commerce. I have been everything from a e-commerce shop owner myself, and now I work with other e-commerce businesses, and I've helped take a variety of business models online, everything from mom and pop shops to handmade products to full-scale boutiques and even car part resellers. So we have been all across the board, varying sizes of businesses. We've worked with some pretty big brand name companies as well as really small companies. So I am a Shopify partner and developer, and I thought I had added this slide, but I will have a disclaimer. Oh, it's on the next page. Okay, so the agenda for today is to talk about what e-commerce, how to choose your e-commerce platform. So some of the things we'll be working through is why e-commerce even matters. Why are you even having this conversation? We'll talk about what Amazon is, Etsy, Facebook Shop, and Shopify, as well as hit on some other platforms, and we'll compare those platforms so that we can ultimately decide what platforms you should be on. So here's my disclaimer. This is an overview webinar, so my expertise is primarily in Shopify, so I might not be able to answer super specific questions on all of these platforms, but I'm going to try my best. I have utilized and worked with sellers on each of these platforms, but I know the most about Shopify. So we'll be hitting this from a pretty broad viewpoint today. And if there is anything specific that questions you have that we aren't able to answer in this, we will certainly make sure that you are taken care of. At the end of this, we'll talk through how you can reach out to your local SBDC and work one-on-one with an advisor, which can be the best way to get some of those super specialized questions answered. But for today, we'll try to get anything answered in the chat, which, speaking of, if you do have questions throughout this webinar, I will have you place those questions in the chat, making sure that they are coming to me. And I will be monitoring the chat throughout this webinar, answering questions after each section as well. We will have time for questions to be answered. So our objectives of this webinar is to help you understand the difference between these e-commerce platforms. And by the end of this course, you'll be able to effectively identify which platforms make sense for your business. Let me just pull. So starting out, sorry, I'm having trouble finding my chat button. starting out, if you guys will go ahead and introduce yourselves. We don't have that many people on the webinar. So if you want to unmute yourself, you can unmute yourself and tell us who you are, what your business or business idea is, and your reason for being here. If you're not comfortable with that, you can put it in the chat. I would love to know what it is that you're doing so that we can really tailor our examples as we talk through these things to those of you that are here with us. Oops, sorry guys. There we go. All right, I'm not seeing anything come through the chat. Does anyone want to introduce themselves? All right, we have Jeanette, who is not in business yet. She's wanting to start an e-commerce store, probably Shopify for fashion accessories. Jeanette, I believe I have seen your name before. I think you were on our Shopify webinar, if I'm not mistaken. All right, well, if anyone else, oh, Keisha?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hi, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I do have my e-commerce store. It's from Teespring when I was Spring. It's a faith-based Christian shirt, so hopefully I can learn a lot from this webinar. Hi, everybody.
Hi, welcome. Keisha, I'm from Jefferson City, Missouri, originally, so you're making me feel at home. I was in St. Louis just last week at the airport.
Oh, fantastic.
And if anyone else wants to introduce yourselves, you can raise your hand or unmute yourself. Or we'll just jump right in.
Hello there. Sorry, Megan. I couldn't find the unmute. Oh.
You're fine. Hi,
Hi, I'm
Jody.
Jody Frenna, and I actually have a limousine service for 13 years in Reading, but I'm starting a new business taking, as a nutritionist, I want to help people that gained weight during COVID, get it off naturally just by tweaking their recipes a little bit, still making them yummy, but taking a lot of the stuff out of there that doesn't need to be there without having to jump through a bunch of hoops. So.
And Jody, will you be selling things online with that?
No, it's services only, no product.
Services only. Okay. So we'll hit on some of the service stuff when we hit Shopify, but most of these platforms will be for product-based businesses.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks, Megan.
You're welcome.
And Megan, I have a couple notes in the chat. I want to start a natural skin care line. I have starting a new online business specializing in taking our post-COVID weight off, and that was what Jody just spoke about. Pam said, I'm currently using OpenCart, but would like to consider another option. And then Mike said, have used Shopify before. I'm looking for an alternative.
Okay, great. So guys, when you're in the chat, you should have an option either for everyone or to Megan Spaulding. If you could send those to one of those two places so I can make sure that I can see them. I definitely prefer to be able to read those as I go. But we do have Linda here. If you do end up accidentally sending it directly to the host, Linda will make sure that's seen. But the fastest and easiest way to get your questions answered and for me to be able to see them and address them as we go throughout this webinar is to make sure you are sending either to the full chat or you're sending it to Megan Spaulding, which I believe is, I think my name is correct on Zoom. I know sometimes the names is sure.
You are right.
Okay. All right. Oh, Jeanette says is not an option for everyone. So does everyone have the option to send it directly to Megan Spaulding? I know Jeanette's.
They should all have that. We don't have the everyone feature turned on, so they can send it probably to you or to me. So send them directly to Megan.
Great. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Why e-commerce matters. Now, Jeanette, you were on our last webinar, so this is going to be really familiar slides to you. But here are some statistics on e-commerce and why we should even consider being online. So first off, global e-commerce jumped from 15.6% of retail sales to 20% during COVID. And that is a number that is just going up and up year over year. We are seeing more people buying online than they are in person. This is a $27.6 trillion market. And currently, 86% of shoppers now really begin their product searches online. So even though what's 100 minus 20, 80% of shoppers are, 80% of retail is happening still in person. The vast majority of shoppers are doing their research online to decide what they actually want to purchase. What that means for you is that if your products are online and they're doing their research online, it is important that you're there so that they can see what it is that you have to offer and ultimately find you to be able to make the decision to purchase your product to solve their problem. So some of the benefits of e-commerce are that customers can shop 24/7. We don't have to be in the shop from 9 to 5 like we would with a brick and mortar. You're not bound by your location, which means that you can serve a global market. You can gain new customers that you can't gain when you're locked into your local market only. There's a low overhead and minimal investment to get online on any of these platforms. That's something that is consistent across all online platforms. It's easy to get on and it's often cheap to get on. There is a quick go-to-market time. You can be online on any of these platforms today. There's a high ability to streamline. And there's a lot of customer data insights. You can find out a lot about your customers. That would be harder to do in the store unless you are physically asking them questions. There's options for product education abilities. There's a lot more details that you can put into your listings online. And you can, particularly if you have a product that it needs to be explained how to use, you can put a lot of information in the product listing versus if it's in a store. It's harder to show people how to use a product when you're dealing with a lot of customers at once. You can also serve niche markets, whereas a super specified shop might not be able to exist in a local market. They might not have enough customers. If you take it online, then you're now serving anyone within that niche. So the example I use is dog bow ties for some reason. Dog bow ties might not do so well in Redding, California. We have some population, but we are, a town of roughly 90,000. And so we might not have that many people who love dog bow ties, but take it out to the global market and you would have tons and tons of people that are interested in that particular niche. I'm sorry too. I have the new Mac. This is still happening. I still haven't figured it out. I have not been able to figure out how to turn my do not disturb on my computer. All right. So we will keep going. First thing that we're going to do is go through each of these primary platforms that I'm sure you've heard about. Your Amazon, we'll hit Etsy, we'll hit Facebook shops, and then we'll hit Shopify. So those are ones that people by and large know, and they know well. And so first, we're going to go through what each of these are, some pros and cons for each of the platforms, and then we'll go into kind of a comparison of each of these platforms. So first off is Amazon. I would be willing to bet that each of you recognize this website. You've probably spent a lot of time here. If you're anything like me, we buy all kinds of stuff on Amazon. So Amazon is actually a marketplace. It's an online e-commerce platform that allows users to find products via organic search. So what you might not know is that Amazon is, it's not like your Target, right? Where Target has all their own stock. Amazon is actually, their stock lives, some of it lives at the Amazon fulfillment center and some of it lives with their sellers, but it's actually their sellers that are purchasing stock and putting their listings on Amazon. And so Amazon is a marketplace, which is any seller can put their information on line on the internet. Or on Amazon, sorry. So some of the pros of Amazon are there's organic traffic. That is the primary service that Amazon offers to their sellers, is that they already have a ton of people visiting them every single day. And so you can put your products on and they can be found through Amazon's search feature. The other things it offers is it's a trusted platform. So everyone knows the name of Amazon. They trust Amazon by and large. They're not afraid to purchase from Amazon. So you do get some of that trust benefit that Amazon has already established with the global market. And speaking of the global market, Amazon offers global reach. So you can market to outside the United States. Anyone that's searching for your particular type of product can potentially find it on Amazon. It also offers on-platform marketing, which makes it really super easy to market your items. That means that I can say, hey, Amazon, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars a month for you to make sure that my item is popping up to those sponsored level items. So that's where you'll see when you are searching and you see something and it's marked as sponsored within the Amazon products, that means that someone has paid money to make sure that your eyes or someone's eyes are getting on their product. And it makes it super easy when that is done in within a platform versus coming directly from your website. You're going to have to use something third party, such as Facebook, or Google, or those kind of things, which are all great options for your e-commerce platform. But Amazon makes it super easy to go, I want to market this one. It's already on Amazon and it's super seamless. The other great thing about Amazon that you might not know about is Amazon FBA. And this is FBA stands for Fulfilled by Amazon. So what this is it is a option to take all of your product and ship it to Amazon, and they will actually fulfill it for you. So some of the benefits of Amazon FBA are that you can be a Prime, you're eligible for Amazon Prime, which is, you know, a lot of people, when they're searching Amazon, they're looking only for Amazon Prime products so that they can make sure they get them the fastest. The other thing is that you don't have to keep stock or inventory in your own house, and you don't have to deal with fulfilling it. Amazon will fulfill it all for you. It's super easy. You can have a business that you barely even touch, that you just make sure the stock is bought, make sure you have stock, and you just ship it off to Amazon. You can actually have your vendors ship directly to Amazon. So you literally never have to touch the product. So that's one of the really, really cool things that Amazon offers. Of course, there's a cost associated with that, which we'll go into in a second. The other pro that is really cool about Amazon is that they have print on demand capabilities, and quite a lot. And they're direct in Amazon. So these are things you might have seen. They have the ability to print on journals. You can print journals direct to Amazon. You can print t-shirts. And so what that means is that all you have to do is upload your designs, and Amazon will print them as they're ordered. So you don't have to keep inventory. You don't have to keep stock. You just give Amazon the design, and as person orders it, they're just going to print one for whatever that person ordered. This keeps things really low cost. If you are wanting to start something that is design based, it can be an extremely low cost way to start. Some of the cons of Amazon is it is highly competitive. So their sellers are very saturated. So if you're going to get on Amazon, it's important that you have a plan, that you know how you're going to get in front of people, whether that be using the sponsored ads or doing some in-depth hiring someone who can help you with your SEO, which is your search engine optimization, SEO specific for Amazon, which is making sure that your listings are going to show up first in the Amazon searches. And then the other con would be that there are high seller fees. So fulfilling orders on Amazon, we actually already went through this, but just to note and to clarify, when you fulfill an order on Amazon, you can either fulfill it as a seller So I can ship it myself. That's an option. However, that does mean that you can't be at Prime. And then you have Amazon FBA, which the con of that is that there are higher costs. And when thinking about FBA, you really want to make sure you're doing your cost benefit analysis to ensure that you are able to cover the costs of that warehouse doing all that work that you would typically do, and to make sure that you can still make money with that option. Are there any specific questions that people have in particular on Amazon?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I have a product that I have some distributors, some small distributors, and they do have Amazon stores. I was told that if Amazon takes over the product, or I use Amazon fulfillment, that they would give a cease and desist order to those distributors so that they cannot compete with Amazon as the distributor, so to speak. Is there any to that?
I am not familiar with that. That sounds odd to me because Amazon does, I guess it would depend on your distributor, but Amazon hooks into a lot of other, which we'll talk about later. You can actually hook your website directly up to Amazon and you can sell in both places. I know companies that sell on Walmart, which is, by the way, is also a marketplace now. They're online. We'll touch on that later as well. They have products on Walmart and on Amazon. It would certainly be something to look into potentially with a lawyer as far as like your terms of service. I think it would probably, it's more likely to be the opposite, and that the distributor has a rule that you can't use Amazon rather than Amazon having an issue with the distributor. But I don't actually, unfortunately, know the question or answer to that particular question. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand.
And Randy, I see you turned your mic on. Did you have a question you wanted to ask?
No, I'll turn it off. Thank you.
All right, so let's move over to Etsy. Etsy, for those of you who aren't familiar, this is what it looks like. It is focused on handcrafted creations. So Etsy, you'll see a lot of the pros and cons are really, really similar to Amazon, almost exact. This is also an online marketplace. It is an online e-commerce platform that allows users to find your products via organic search. Right there, I say, sound familiar? It's the exact same slide almost to Amazon. So the thing that makes Etsy different is it is specialized selling. So you have handmade goods, vintage items, and craft supplies are the only things that are allowed to be sold on Etsy. So if you tried to sell dish soap or something that was manufactured, Etsy would not allow that. That would be a conflict of their terms policy, and your listings would be removed. So some of the pros of Etsy are, again, very similar to Amazon. You have your organic traffic. Etsy has all kinds of people that are showing up to Etsy every day. But another pro that differentiates it from Amazon is that it is a niche audience. So people are going to Etsy because they are looking for something handmade, they are looking for something vintage, or they are looking for craft supplies. So that means you get a lot of traffic, but people who are already looking for something specific. So if your product falls into any of these three categories, Etsy can be a really great place to put your product on. Again, you have the benefits that it's a trusted platform. It has global reach. It also has on-platform marketing, so you can, again, boost your listing direct with Etsy, and it will pop it up as a sponsored listing. And it also integrates with print-on-demand options. Some of the cons of Etsy, again, it's also highly competitive. It's a very saturated market. And it also has seller fees that are higher to your typical credit card processing fees. Another con is, of course, that not all products are allowed to be sold here. So you do have to be in one of those three categories. Does anybody have any questions specific to Etsy? All right, we will keep going. What is the criteria to be considered vintage? I believe it's just anything that's used. I'm not totally certain. There might be some rules even within what types of vintage, though this comes directly from Etsy's site for their 3 categories. But I think it's anything that is reused and being resold. Linda, did you have any questions in your chat?
No, there aren't any.
All right. All right, so Facebook shop. Now, this is something that's very different from Amazon. It's very different from Etsy. So this is an example of the Facebook shop. You'll see here, this shows up as a tab right here on your actual Facebook page. So it integrates with your existing Facebook page. It allows you to sell directly on Facebook, which make it really easier for your followers to convert. They don't have to go somewhere else. They can buy straight from there. It can link either you can purchase directly through Facebook, or there is flexibility that you can link from your Facebook to your website. So if we go back to this slide, oops, it's not going the right way. So it's covered here, but there is a buy button that you can decide if you're going to buy directly through Facebook or if it will take them to your actual site to purchase there. This I want to note is different from Facebook Marketplace. So your Facebook shop does not show up in the marketplace, which is where you are selling to people who are local, or you're selling products that can be shipped. Your Facebook shop is specifically the shop that shows up on your Facebook page. So some of the pros are that it's easy and free to set up. There's an ease of customer contact. So the nice thing about Facebook shop is you do have your Facebook Messenger right there. And so if someone is shopping and they have a question, they can easily message you within their shopping experience. There's also advertising integrated into this platform, and there are a lot of users on Facebook. Some of the cons are that you have to have a minimum of 2,000 Facebook likes in order to set up the shop on your actual Facebook page. They do have selling fees, again, that are higher than your typical credit card fees. And they do not have the ability to have promotional codes or referral programs. So that is one of the downsides if you're going to sell directly through Facebook, that you do not have the ability to run those promotions. The other problem is that buyers who do not have a Facebook account are not going to be able to buy from your Facebook shop. And it doesn't have the same organic reach as some of the other platforms. So when looking and searching through Facebook, again, this is not the same as Facebook Marketplace. And so if you wanted to put stuff on Marketplace, it's a little bit easier to search through Marketplace. Of course, Marketplace has the problem in that there is a lot of back and forth and getting payment, and there's just a lot more hands-on nature to Facebook Marketplace. Facebook shops, you are not enabled to just kind of search through those shops. You kind of have to find the actual Facebook page and then go to the shop panel. Are there any questions on Facebook specifically? All right, then we will keep moving. All right, so the last thing that we're going to talk about is Shopify. Now, Shopify is in bold. It is the one thing that I know the most about, but this can be replaced with anything. So Shopify, BigCommerce, Squarespace, WordPress, any other website platforms that allow an e-commerce shop. This is your actual website. So this is your .com, right? myshop.com. The place that's living at that place is going to be one of these platforms. Now, I want to note, because we'll talk about, hey, can I be on multiple platforms? When
Megan,
looking at, yes,
just jumping back a second, there's a comment that says 2,000 likes or friends.
likes. Facebook shops are not for personal Facebook page. They're for your business page. Sorry, I lost my place. Anyway, so as I was saying, you can kind of mix and match some of these platforms, but when looking for an actual website, you can only choose one platform to host your website on, and that's your actual shop that you own. So here is an example of the back end of Shopify. This is 100% your own. So you're not relying on outside sources to generate traffic. Outside of Google, of course, there's some strategies with SEO and making sure that your shop is popping up on Google. But it's really your responsibility to push people to this site. Some of the pros are there is a relatively low cost to get on Shopify. You have access to some free or low cost themes, so you can get up pretty fast. There is full flexibility, so you can design the site however you want. It does host your whole site, so that means that you have a home page, you have an about page, you can have a contact page and all of those things. It's not just a shop or a listing place. You also own your customers. So you have access to all of their email, all of their data. Shopify has marketing on the platform, so you can blast emails to all of your customers that have ever purchased with you. You can do some pretty complex marketing and targeting based on what people have bought before. And you just have a lot more data in general on your customers than you do have on the other platforms, particularly Amazon and Etsy, where they actually own their customer base. Another pro is that they only charge standard credit card fees minus your monthly hosting fees. And there are direct connections to other platforms, which actually I'm going to go over that a little bit and deeper. So what I mean by direct connections to other platforms is I mean that you can actually, it is as simple to start selling on Facebook shops. They have a direct connection to eBay. There's an app to sync to Amazon. There you can directly sell on Instagram. There are a number of different platforms that is as simple as a click of a button and running through a login process, and Shopify will actually sync all of your products that you put into your shop. It will sync all your products over to that platform, including your stock, and can track your inventory for you. So that's one of the really powerful things about Shopify. Some of the cons are that you are responsible for your own traffic. So your only organic traffic is going to come from SEO. That means you have to be pushing it, whether that's through your social media or your email marketing or working on your SEO. You have to get your people to your site. It's not an easy search engine that already has hundreds of millions of people coming through that gate. Another con is that there are additional costs for apps and add-ons depending on your needs. If you do have complex needs, like I've been working with a shop that has local delivery, but you need to be able to schedule a time on the calendar. In that case, they are having to use an app that is another $20 a month in order to have that calendar integration. Another con is that there are high developments for a more effective, for the most effective site. So if you want a site that's going to be really, truly effective, very true to your brand, and has been tested and proven, for your customers' needs. You're going to have to hire a user experience designer as well as a developer, and those costs can add up. That's part of the flexibility of Shopify. You can make really it look anything like you want, but if you want to break out of some of those standards themes that don't typically perform as well as custom themes, then there are some higher costs associated.
Megan,
Yep.
there's a question. It's, can you sell services instead of goods on Shopify or any of the other platforms?
You can sell services on Shopify, well, you can sell goods on everything. You can't sell services on, you cannot sell services on Amazon or Etsy. However, Facebook Shop, you can sync directly with your Shopify. So I don't know why you wouldn't be able to sell services on there, but I would certainly look and make sure that that would be okay for Facebook's terms of use. I see that. What are the things that make a more effective site versus the regular themes? So great question. This is a tried and tested thing called user experience. The technical term would be UX UI design. So the themes themselves, you would think that they would be better at user experience, but they're just not. They're really put together for ease of use and get someone up faster. Having things like understanding how your particular customer is navigating through your site, understanding what the product is, and specializing your site to create the best user experience and user flow is going to be something that's really tailored to you and to your particular target audience. And so that's why you see more often than not, actually, I've never not seen a custom site not convert better than a themed site. And that's for that reason. Well, unless you're hiring a designer and developer that's not experienced in user experience. That's why I suggest if you ever hire a designer for your Shopify or Squarespace or etc. site, to make sure you hire someone who is knowledgeable in e-commerce and the user patterns for e-commerce users, because that can be the difference between a percentage or two conversion, which can be a big deal in e-commerce. You can go from 10 sales a day to 20 sales a day if you have better user experience, or even more, depending on how big your shop is. But that can be the key difference. Linda, is there any other questions in your chat?
No, there aren't.
So some of the other platforms that you can get on, and this is not an exhaustive list, there are so many platforms out there, particularly marketplaces such as Etsy and Amazon, that you can push to. Some wholesale platforms are Handshake and Fair. So those are places, if you do sell wholesale, so that means you're selling to other retailers who will then resell your product to the end user. Those are platforms you can put your wholesale products on, and retailers go in and can search and organically find your products. Some other platforms that are direct to user retail are Redbubble, eBay, and Walmart. And again, this is not an exhaustive list. There are tons and tons and tons, and particularly if you have a niche, say you are a board game creator, there, I guarantee you, are marketplaces specific to being able to sell board games. And so it's great to research marketplace platforms within your particular niche as well. So let's go through and quickly compare these. Now, the biggest thing that we're really going to compare is, and the only thing really, is their fees. Their fee structure is really the big difference between each of these, outside of where that traffic's kind of coming from. So Amazon, they have a selling plan for an individual that starts at $99.06 a month. It's a nominal fee. To get more services, you'd be looking at about $40 a month, but super easy and low cost to get in at that monthly $1 a month fee. However, where Amazon starts to get really expensive expensive is their referral fees. So they're saying, hey, they used our search platform to find you. They're coming through us. So we're going to charge you because we actually brought you this customer. And so their referral fees go anywhere from 8 to 16%, which is quite high when you look at some of these other platforms. That referral fee also depends on product category. So you depending on what you're selling, that fee will be different. And then on top of that, if you choose to go with Amazon FBA and you have them manage your inventory, you're looking at a $2 to $200 handling fee. Most of that depends on the product weight and what it takes for them to stock it and keep it in stock, how much shelf space you're going to need, and those kind of things. With Etsy, we see some lower costs. There's a 20-cent listing fee, so that means you pay 26 every time you put a listing up. And then there's a 5% transaction fee when something is sold. Etsy does have a premium platform that allows for some free listings and some other marketing benefits and some analytic benefits that starts at $10 a month, but you're not required to have that $10 a month to start. So you could start simply with a 20-cent listing. Facebook Shops is similar to Etsy. If you are allowing them to purchase directly through Facebook, they are going to charge you a 5% transaction fee, which is much higher than your standard credit card fees. And then Shopify comes with a $29. Most people fall into the $29 a month fee. $79, really the only time that you would fall into that higher one is if you have enough sales that the transaction fee difference kind of makes sense to move up into the other tier, because the higher tier you're in on Shopify, the lower your transaction fees are. And then Shopify does have a 1 to 2% transaction fee. It's not listed here, but there is a 30-cent addition to that transaction fee. So the transaction fees are lower. You do have the monthly cost associated with Shopify, which is really covers your hosting. And then, yeah, so those are the comparisons with that. Amazon and Etsy and Facebook are all standalone platforms, which means that if you want to get on all three of those platforms, you have to manage each of those platforms, whereas Shopify allows you to sync out to multiple platforms. Are there any questions on that bit? Linda, are there any questions on your end?
No, I don't have any.
All right, so let's answer the question quickly of which platform you should be on. The answer is any of the platforms that make sense for you. So these are not exclusive, so you can be on multiple platforms, but you want to look at what makes sense. So look at your product. First off, is it able to be sold on that platform, and will it perform well on that platform? And then do a cost analysis, particularly with Amazon and Etsy, and making sure that you can make money on that platform. So what are you going to sell it for? What's your cost? What's your cost to get that product? So say you're selling, or say you are, we'll do the jewelry boutique. If you're buying earrings in bulk and those earrings cost $5 and you're going to sell them for 10, then taking into account that Amazon's going to roughly cost you 10% of that. So it's going to cost about $1. So it means you'll have approximately a $4 profit. So you're selling it minus your cost of goods sold, minus any fees that are coming from Amazon. Now, if you ship those off to Amazon FBA and they're charging you $2, that could bring your profit down to $2 or even less. So you want to make sure that those things are making sense, and considering, your shipping of everything could end up offsetting things. And so make sure you can actually make money when choosing these platforms, and make sure you've set your prices to a point that you can actually make money. Because if you purchase those same earrings for $5 and you decide you're going to sell them for $6, then you consider the fact that Amazon is going to take, we'll just say roughly, because their fees are quite complex, but roughly 10% of $6. Oh, I'm not going to be able to do that math in my head, but let's see, 75 cents or something like that. And minus the $5 you spent, that means you're only getting a quarter in profit, and consider, loss or shipping, the actual shipping to Amazon, and you certainly want to be able to do FBA at those prices. If that kind of makes sense, you really just want to make sure that those fees, whatever those fees are to be on those marketplaces, that they make sense for what you're doing, and you're not ending up losing money or barely breaking even. You want to make sure you have enough of a profit to be able to stay in business and to be able to rebuy supplies. That's super important for you to be able to turn around and get supplies. Then you want to make sure that you utilize an inventory sync if you choose to be on multiple platforms. So if you are going to be selling on multiple platforms, you can imagine a huge pain point is going to be, well, how does Amazon know what inventory is, and how does Etsy know? And you might have only 10 in stock, but if you are selling super fast and 10 people buy on Amazon and then 10 people buy on Etsy, and now you've oversold 10 products. So there are platforms out there that can help you sync your inventory. Of course, Shopify itself has that built in. So you can sync through apps so that it's pulling the inventory directly from Shopify. But there are a number, depending on the platforms you are using, you can Google search, hey, I want to sync inventory between Etsy and Amazon, or I want to sync inventory between Etsy and eBay. And searching what particular things, because there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different inventory syncers, but you want to make sure whatever inventory syncing system you use is going to be able to sync with all of your products. So if you don't have, or with all of your platforms you've chosen. So if you don't have a website, or even if you do, because Squarespace is not as good at inventory syncing as Shopify is, and each website has its own ability to even keep track of stock. And so if you are not on Shopify, depending on where you're at, you want to make sure that you have inventory that can be synced throughout all of these. Now, if you are just say we're just doing Etsy and Amazon, you'll need to use a third party to that basically only tracks your inventory to make sure that you're not accidentally overselling. Oops. All right, so are there any questions right now before we wrap up?
Megan, I have one for you. I know you've worked with a lot of different businesses in these different areas, and sometimes some of the best lessons learned are through mistakes. Can you share any learning you've seen when someone makes a mistake? Because I think that could benefit people listening.
I don't know that I've seen any mistakes in particular for this webinar. It really doesn't hurt to go on other platforms. The only thing you want to make sure, again, is that you've done your cost benefit analysis. If the costs are not there, that would certainly be a huge mistake. Luckily, my clients have never run into that problem. But if you are, more of a hobbyist and you're not trying to make as much money, you could end up losing money by being on these platforms if you aren't paying attention to what your costs are. Are there any other questions before we begin wrapping up? I think you said in the Shopify webinar that it costs about $3K for a good developer. Yeah, so if you wanted to hire a web developer for a Shopify site or Squarespace site, you are looking at minimum at $3,000 for a good developer. Now, a good developer, and depending on your site speed, your site needs, you can spend, for a really, really great site that's really, really data driven, you can easily spend $20,000. You can easily spend $100,000. I mean, some of these sites such as Old Navy, for example, they are probably spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars every month just to keep up with their website and make sure that they're constantly meeting their customers' needs. And there is a direct correlation more often than not. You certainly don't want to make sure that you're not just paying for a name brand. Some of the name brand agencies out there, their prices are inflated because of their name brand. But by and large, the more you spend on your site development, the more data you're going to get.
Megan, I always like to send this before we finish the webinar. I just put something in the chat saying we love to hear what you think of this webinar and if there are other topics you'd like us to cover for future webinars. So soon I will attach a link to the survey, and people can click that link while we're on the webinar. It will open an additional window for them, and then they can address the survey after we're complete.
Yep. So thank you guys. So I know this was a super broad and overview of here's what's kind of out there. Here's the different platforms you can be on. And that was really the goal, to show you just the vast majority and what the differences are between Amazon, between Etsy, and why you should still consider having your own site, why you should still consider being on these platforms. But each of you are super specific and super unique. And so I encourage you to, if you are located in America, we have SBDCs all across the country that, again, as Linda said earlier, sorry, Linda, are free to you. They are paid for by your tax dollars. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of those. If you are located in Shasta or Trinity County, then you can reach out to us directly. Our information is right here on the screen. This is our address, our phone number, as well as Emily, who you will contact to get one-on-one advising. Our one-on-one advisors can walk you through the specifics for your specific idea, and can help you come up with a plan to get yourself online, can help you can help you do those cost benefit analysis to make sure that it even makes sense, and can help you with pricing to make sure you're pricing correctly. We can help you with all of those things. So you can either reach out to us if you're located in Shasta, Trinity counties. If you're outside of those counties, you will go to americassbdc.org/find-your-SBDC. And you'll be able to find your local SBDC who will be able to give you the same one-on-one advising and set you up with an advisor who is specialized in your particular niche. And then if you are outside the United States, unfortunately, I'm not sure. I get that question a lot. I'm not sure what is offered in your country, but I would look at your country and see if there's anything similar being offered. Thank you guys again. If you could take a time when you can to fill out that survey, let us know what you think and let us know what you would like to learn. We really want to know. This webinar came out of a survey with people asking the difference. We were consistently getting questions on what's the difference between Shopify and Amazon and Etsy when we would do our Shopify webinars. And so we do listen to that feedback, and we do want to provide webinars that answer questions that you need the answers to. I do have a question from Jane in the chat. Should you choose only one platform or use them all at the same time? You can use them all at the same time. I would suggest don't bite off more than you can chew, and so set up one platform at a time. But you can hook them all up. Just make sure that you have an inventory syncer so that you're not accidentally overselling inventory when you are selling on multiple platforms. And if there is any more questions, we are done early, so I will hang out here for a few minutes, and feel free to raise your hand or put a question in the chat if you have anything specific.
Megan, this is also an opportunity where someone can turn their microphone on and we can have some back and forth conversation too.
Yep.
Megan, I have a question in the chat. It's what about cross-border e-commerce platform like DHgate and Rookatin?
I'm not familiar with any of those platforms, so you would have to go to their terms of use and figure out what their offerings are.
We got to thank you back for that one.
It generally doesn't hurt to be on multiple platforms. You know, it's all about organic reach. And so if people are already on those, unless again, it's about your cost benefit and making sure that you are aligned with their terms of use. But there's just options and abilities to get more eyes on your products.
Megan, are there any upcoming trainings that you're offering that would benefit people that we could mention at this point?
You know what? I have one in September. I'm not sure what it is though. Let me check real quick.
You can go to our website, which is sbdcsc.org, and look at our calendar and look at what our future trainings are to see if there's another training that would be a good fit for you. That's the beauty of these webinars, is we can cover such a large territory.
Yeah, let's see. Yep, I have a webinar September 16th for pitching for publicity. That's more focused on service-based businesses. However, so that's how to get featured in podcasts, blogs, and more. Though it can work for product-based businesses as well. All right, if we don't have any other questions, then we can go ahead and wrap up early here.
Great. I do not have any more questions in my chat. And thank you so much, Megan. You always share such great information. And we appreciate everyone's engagement. Thank you for interacting, because when you ask your questions, often it's a question someone else is so glad you asked. So I'll let you wrap up, Megan.
All right, well, thank you guys. And again, don't be afraid to reach out. If you're in one of our counties, we're happy to help with your specific business or business idea, and reach out to your local SBDC if you're anywhere else. You have already paid for these services with your tax money, so go and take advantage of them. And we will see you soon.